Hi, let's do a book review of this book by Jay Shetty called 8 Rules of Love: How to Find It, Keep It, and Let It Go. That is love. Now, it's a really interesting book, and especially the author, Jay Shetty, is a favorite podcaster of mine. His podcast, On Purpose, is one of my favorite places to listen to new concepts, and I was really excited when he came out with this book, especially on love. So, how does a monk think about love? Because Jay Shetty's first book, that was How to Think Like a Monk, is very different. It has very intellectual ideas. So, how does someone who has committed to a life of brahmachari come and write a book on love? So, in this little video, we are going to do a flip through the actual book and my favorite parts of the book and my favorite lessons from the book. So, let's get into it. So, here are some of the chapters in the book. Chapters like Let Yourself Be Alone, Don't Ignore Your Karma, Define Love Before You Think It, Feel It, or Say It, Your Partner is Your Guru, Purpose Comes First, Win or Lose Together, and You Don't Need to Break After a Breakup, and Love Again and Again. I really like this idea of a solo audit where you take yourself on a solo date, like go on a hike or a museum or a holiday, and then ask yourself pointed questions like what did you like about spending time alone, what felt uncomfortable, and who would you want there to spend it with. I really like this idea of going from loneliness to solitude and really getting to know yourself before you enter a relationship. Of course, we are going to change with time, but compatibility is so important and it starts with us. Here's my favorite chapter, which is called Don't Ignore Your Karma, which basically talks about how our parents and our upbringing affects our relationships and how our childhood impressions can be changed as adults and we have a choice. So the first thing he suggests is writing a letter to our younger self and asking a response from our younger self as well. And this is a beautiful practice. The next thing he talks about is the gifts and gaps. If there was a gap in our parents raised us, we look for others to fill it. So the gift is we seek partners who give the same gifts we were given as children, and we seek partners who fill the gaps our parents raised us with. So this is what the book suggests. Write down some memories from your childhood. Then write down what kind of expectations your parents had from you and what kind of expectations you had from your parents. And how are you modeling your adult life on your parents' life. Also write down what kind of emotional support you needed as a child and did not get from your parents, and where you might be looking for it in your past relationships. So really look at your past romantic relationships. And the last thing is give yourself what you wanted to receive and don't expect it from a life partner. Give it. Then in later chapters, he tells you how to define love and the 4 stages of love that he's defined: the attraction, the dreams, the struggle, and the trust. He also gives certain first date questionnaires which you can ask your date to get a more meaningful relationship going. This is the part which I did not like, where he says that your partner is there to help you learn and grow. I do think his definition on love there is a little mixed, but what I like is these, beautiful tables where he explains what you can do, what you should do, what you shouldn't have done, kind of tabular forms, which is really interesting. He also talks about gaslighting, abuse, and therapy, where he also tells you how to resolve an argument. I like that piece, mnemonic. He also helps you make an agreement for your next argument so that it's much more peaceful. How to write an apology letter, which I really appreciated. These kind of details that he's gone into in trying to maintain a relationship and giving yourself closure and karmic lessons. The most important thing is taking self-responsibility for your relationship and always reflecting on yourself or how you can become better. He also adds lots of these checklists if you've broken up and you want to get back to loving and healing yourself through love and connecting again and loving again and again and really having a connection with other human beings. And the more you give, the more you receive. And that is how you find love, keep love, and let love go. By Jay Shetty, 8 Rules of Love. I hope you enjoyed this flip through review of the book. So coming to the parts which I liked the most about this book and the parts which I didn't like so much. So the part which I really liked was first the flow of the book, right? The fact that you can find love and finding of it is in solitude, and you really need to understand what love means to you before you get into a relationship. And also the end part of it where he talks about finding love again and again and always recommitting to connection again and again, whether it's with yourself or with other human beings. That was a beautiful flow. The parts which I didn't like was the middle actually. Yes, I loved how to find the love, but the keeping of the love part was where I think that Jay Shetty lost us. The reason why that would have happened is because he talks about the four stages of love according to the karma, dharma, kama, and moksha. And the part where he talks about karma, which is your karmic connections, your samskaras with your parents, and the gifts and gaps that your parents have created, which really reflects in your relationship, is beautifully explained. The part where he talks about dharma is beautiful. The chapters on your lover is your guru and also finding your purpose in life are beautifully written chapters, and you can get a lot of knowledge about life from it, but not necessarily knowledge about a life partner. So this is the part where he loses us by trying to say that the reason why we have a life partner is for us to learn and grow. The only reason why you would be in a companionship with someone is because they will help you to learn more things about yourself. They will help you to grow to become a better human being, and that fun, that flirtatiousness, the just I like to be with someone just because and not because of any meaning attached to it was kind of lost, because love is not always a kind of business partnership, and it felt a little dry when he explained the dharma part of it. Now the kama part, the pleasure, the friendship, the attachment, the possession, the kama bit of it, the pleasure bit of it, of the cycle, which actually should have been the massive part of when a book is written about love, was completely lost and completely neglected, is what I would think, that there was no karma in a book on love. And the moksha part, the part where love can lead for you to your spiritual divinity, is also beautifully explained in the last bit, where we are here to have connections with other human beings and all of that. So that is my thing, the central bit of it is kind of lost, where how do you keep a marriage together, how do you keep the love alive, and that does require certain embers, certain fires, certain sparks, certain lighting up of emotions. Having said that, there was a beautiful episode on his podcast on purpose, where he talks about the book review of a book which is again one of my favorite books, which is called The Five Love Languages. And in that podcast, Jay Shetty really goes in and explains that how his own love language is gifts, and he loves to receive gifts, and how his wife held a surprise birthday party for him, which had all the glitzy, glamorous guests from Hollywood. And just because he loved the idea of surprises, he loves big and small gifts. Now that is what love is, right? Where love is where you do unintentional, unattached, non-meaningful things for your partner, and which may not be attached to learning and growing together, or what kind of lessons have you learned from this, but it is just doing something because you love them. So that gifting, that frivolousness of love was kind of lost in trying to make this a really deep book, but frivolousness is extremely deep when it comes to love. So I think that that was something that he had mentioned in his podcast, and it's one of his really highly rated podcast episodes back from 2020, and I remember it till date 3 years from now, because it struck a chord, and that heartstrings is very important in a book on love. Now, another thing which I really liked about the book, having come from someone who's in the spiritual space, who's in the wellness space, that after each chapter, there were love letters that you can write to yourself, whether it be a love letter to your younger self or a love letter to a healing self when you are healing your broken heart, or you're writing a love letter to yourself to go back to relationships again. So all these beautiful letters that you write to yourself as self-reflection, or meditations that you do, either solo meditations that he's written about or couple meditations that he's written about after each chapter, were beautiful additions to the book. So this is my book review for the book 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. I hope you enjoyed this review, and do leave your comments if you've read this book or you have any comments about any other books that I should review on. Thank you for watching.